What's going on, folks? Brandon the Broker here. I'm back again because nobody buys me Crumble Cookie. So I'm guessing that you guys are liking these videos. I have no clue why. You guys are weird. But thank you. Thank you for keep coming back. I don't know why y'all keep coming back, but okay, we're going to do this one. Architecture TV's Beginner Guide Back to School Supply List. School supplies. Now, here's the thing. Your mileage is going to vary. So don't go on this list and just say, well, I'm going to need this because this is what this person said. No, you may need it. You may not need it. So always be sure to check with your school before you just start buying stuff.
Hey everyone,
Hey,
welcome back to the channel. My name is Ashley and I'm an architect in Ontario, and in this video we're going to be talking about architecture supplies, and this is a beginner guide to Back to Architecture School Supplies 2021, and we're going to be talking about all the supplies you will need to go back to architecture school. I'll be dividing the list into essential items and luxury items, so I'll be explaining why they are essential items and luxury items as well. So if you're interested, make sure to like the video, and of course don't forget to subscribe. And so if you're interested, let's get started.
right here, you might not hear anything because it keeps flagging it as copyright, but then it says you can use it. So I just always take it out. So you may not hear anything right here. So sorry about that.
Before we get started, I just want to mention that some programs do provide an architecture supply list of the items you'll need that are specific to the because program to program they vary, so your supplies will vary as well. So depending on the program you're going to, your supplies might vary as well. So I would also pay attention to understanding what your program is about, what courses you'll be taking, and also check out if your program has a specific list. So for example, some programs are more technical than other programs. Some might be more conceptual. And the more technical programs would require more, let's say, technical books in comparison. Drafting might be something that the program is exposing students to, versus some programs that don't even have traditional drafting. So it depends a lot depending on your program. So I would first make sure you understand what your program is about, what their courses are going to be for the first, second, or third year, and even fourth year, so that you can plan your supplies accordingly. Now, this video, I'm going to be recommending the supplies that I think would be helpful based on my experience. So I went to Ryerson for my undergrad, which was a very technical school, and then for my master's, it was both of a balance of technical and conceptual skills as well. So I'll be recommending some of the items, and of course I'll be explaining why I'm recommending them so that it can help you make the right decision as well. So let's get started with the essential items first. So starting with the essential items, item number one, and this is probably one of the most important items and one of the most expensive items on the list, is a laptop. Now, a
Facts.
laptop is one of the most important items on the list, and of course, it's going to be the most expensive. A good laptop could run up to $3,000.
Well, look at her with her two, Apple MacBooks right there. Isn't she just the fanciest in the world? That's why I say to everybody with a MacBook, I'm sorry, folks.
Depending, but I would allocate at least $3,000 if you want a good laptop. I say laptop because a laptop is more versatile than, for example, a desktop. A desktop would be a lot cheaper because you can get a lot cheaper computer for, let's say, the performance, and get a powerful desktop in comparison to a laptop. If you're comparing apples with apples, the laptop will run a lot more expensive. And the reason for that is because, hey, it's portable, it's convenient. You can travel with it, you can take it everywhere you go, and boom, you have all your work all your files in one shot. Now, I've done a video where I talk about the best laptops for architecture in this video here, so I recommend watching that. I've also done a video on the M1 MacBook Pro, which is one of my go-to computers that I'm currently using, and I have to say, I absolutely love it. It's just been such a great experience. And if you want to understand why I love it so much, I've done a video and a review, a 6-month review, since I've had it now for 6 months. And you can check out that video up here. Now, the laptop is a great option, especially since when you're in architecture school, you're going to be doing a lot of design crits. And in order to avoid printing so much, one of the nice things you can do is actually have a laptop where you can share with your professor your progress and show your designs and the work you've done so far. It's great too if you're doing workshops and so on. So it's such a great versatile computer in comparison to having a desktop. Now, if you don't get a laptop and you decide to go the desktop route, then you may need to print out your work to show progress, which I also do recommend, even if you are using a laptop, to make some prints, because that really helps to nail down your line works and your graphics and your colors, and it helps to see it up in person, because sometimes for your finals you need to print out big posters, and so to do some test prints prior is important to really get those graphics looking right, because you want to make sure that when you're standing from afar, you're able to read the graphics. Now, I can do a separate video on some tips for presentation in a future video, and comment down below if that's something that you would be interested to see. Now, getting back onto laptops, I would definitely recommend a laptop as opposed to a desktop, just because of the versatility that you're going to get from a laptop. Item number 2, books.
Now, this is going to be a little bit of a catch-22, because while desktops are going to be cheaper, laptops have portability. Desktops, if something breaks or if something is outdated, you can go in and change it out just a little bit easier than you can with the laptop. Laptop, you pretty much got to have everything you need right then and there, because once you buy it, some things can't be changed out. I think, some things can, but not everything can. Whereas with the desktop, if something goes out or if you want to upgrade to something heftier, you can do it right then and there. I don't get into the updating stuff for that. Go check out Linus Tech Tips. Love them.
Again, depending on the program you're going to, you may have some specific books that your professors and the program will recommend, but I'm going to give you a few books that I found helpful when I was doing my undergrad and master's, and actually some of the books I still find helpful even when I'm practicing and after graduating school as well. So one of them, or just a few of them, include Pattern Language. Now, I got this when I was in my undergrad, and this was actually quite useful just to get an overall understanding of urban planning, architecture design, and so on. And for some and many architects, this is a Bible and a nice go-to book, so I recommend getting a copy of this. And another book that's really helpful as well is the Building Construction Illustrated. Now, the Building Construction Illustrated is a very helpful book. It's more on the technical side, so depending on the program which you're going to, this might be a bit of an overkill, but you do have to take in some of the master programs and undergrad programs, you may have some courses on the technical side of building construction, and so I would recommend definitely this book. And it has great illustrations which you can use, and they are very helpful. And I still find this as my go-to, especially when I was studying for the IGZAC exam. This was very helpful. And the IGZAC exam is the licensure exam test that you need to write in order to become an architect. So this has been my go-to. And another useful book is the Graphic Standards. Now, this is the student edition, which when you're in school, and actually I would even recommend it even after graduating. It's a great graphic standard. It has some great standards when you're drawing out plans and you just want to get some standards for stairs, so on, sections, and so on, construction materials. It's a great graphic standard, as it's titled. I really recommend it. It's been really helpful. As you can see all the bookmarks that I've been using, and it's definitely a go-to even after graduating.
Both of those books can be cheat codes, and in architecture or engineering, the more cheat codes you have, the better.
architecture school and during my internship, I definitely used all of these books, and they were also very helpful, and I definitely recommend these. These are the top 3 that I would recommend, and if you're not able to get one of them, then I would definitely recommend the graphic standards and the pattern language, because the graphic standards is a nice overall book summary, and it also has some of the construction materials as well. And I also want to mention that you don't need to get all these materials all at once. You could get some materials as now you're starting architecture school, and then as you're in the program, you can kind of get a feel and see what you need to add to your supplies. Now, of course, I mean, it would be great to get everything all in one shot, all of the items I recommend in this video, but that might not be feasible to you. So you may just want to get a few essential items here and there, and then see how it goes when you're enrolled. Item number 3, drawing tools. Now, I have to mention this again, that depending on the program, you may have drafting as part of the program. So when I did my undergrad at Ryerson, the first and I think second year as well, we had to do everything by hand. So all of the projects needed to be drafted by hand. They wanted us to get a sense and also build that understanding of the traditional craft of architecture. So in part of that, I had to purchase a lot of the basic drafting items, and that included, vellum, a bunch of drafting rulers, T-squares, and so on. So that can get a little bit pricey, so I would first make sure that your program does have drafting and makes drafting a priority for studio, and if they do, then you're going to have to get a lot of drafting tools. And if you're interested on the drafting tools that I would recommend, then let me know in the comments down below if that's something that you're interested in. Even if you're not,
I would really recommend Do As She Say, because the worst thing is buying a bunch of stuff that you will not be using at all, and you're lugging that stuff around. Or what's even worse is when you don't buy the stuff because the school says you won't need it, or you throw it away because you bought it, don't need it, and then next year, oh, we're going to add this and you need to take this class. So guess what? Now all that stuff you didn't need, you now need. It does happen. It's stupid. It sucks. I don't blame anybody for not liking it, but yeah, it does happen. So what I would say is keep checking the school curriculum, keep checking the syllabus. If it says you don't need it, don't get it. If it says you need it, go ahead, get it. And if you're going to get it, get the good stuff. Don't get like the little flimsy stuff off of, like the little bargain stuff off Amazon. Get the good quality stuff, because the good quality stuff could last you an entire career versus the stuff. And then again, you're a student, get the cheap stuff, go for it.
Drafting, then I would still recommend one basic item, which is the scale. And the scale is a great tool, even just to scale building models that you're going to have to build when you're in architecture school, or even your drawings. So if you're building floor plans and so on, you want to check the scale, work things out, and measure things. So it's really helpful to have a scale. And if you want more information about the scale, let me know in the comments below if you would like to hear more about the scale.
I will say get a metal scale, because the plastic ones, you're going to be cutting along them. Sometimes you're going to accidentally cut into them, and that can create some very wonky stuff later. So I would say get the metal one.
How it works, what types of scales that I would recommend, and so on. Now let's talk about drawing pencils. Now, of course, the softer the pencil, the better it is to draw. I personally like my pencils quite soft, and so I would definitely recommend getting a few pencils, and of course they can vary in price range. So depending on what you feel comfortable, you can get the pencils that kind of suit you better, but I definitely recommend some pencils so that you can do some sketches. And I'll just show you on the side here what are my favorite pencils, and you can check that out as well. The other item that I would recommend, and these are pretty essential, are colored pencils as well. I personally love the Prisma colored pencils because they're so soft, they blend so easily. Yes, they're a bit pricey in terms of comparison to some of the brands out there in terms of colored pencils, but I personally really love them. And of course, this is great because you can use
Prismacolor, I believe, are the ones that you can draw with them, but if you take a paintbrush dip it in water and then go over it, it also kind of disperses, kind of like a watercolor paint.
Use it to sketch, to color drawings, and so on, and this could be very helpful for you. You're going to also need, if you are sketching a lot and doing some hand drawings, which are great ways to convey your ideas and concepts, you're going to need some markers as well. And of course, there's so many different recommendations I can give you on markers. And if you're interested on more of my favorites for markers, let me know in the comments. I'll show a bit of a screen grab here of some of the markers that I like. I even use Prismacolored markers as well if they're on sale, because sometimes they're a bit pricey, and I can actually, sometimes I even use some of the basic markers. Colors that I really use a lot, I might upgrade it to a premium quality marker. So of course, depending on how much you're able to spend, you can really tailor what brands to get and what type of markers. And even using the basic cheaper brands are still good enough just to convey some ideas and to do some sketches. I recommend also getting some sketch paper, or you can also call it trace paper. Trace paper is a great way just to sketch out ideas, even overlay images and do sketches, work out floor plans where you can sketch over and kind of work things out and concepts and so on. There's so many uses you can get out of it, even to build models and so on. I definitely recommend getting some sketch paper. So those are basically the drawing essential items that I would recommend. And of course, I would include perhaps an eraser, a sharpener, and so on. Item number 4, notebooks. Now, notebooks are a great way to encourage yourself to take good notes and good sketches as well. Now, I like to spend a little bit on my notebooks just because it does make it more enjoyable to take notes and to do sketches. And so paper for me is actually quite important. I need to like the texture of the paper and the notebook and the materiality of it. And there's different scales of notebooks that you can get. Now, and of course, I kind of pair the scale of the notebook depending on what it's for. Now you can see some of my notebooks, I've had them for years and I still use them. So basically what I try to do is, if it's more of an ideas notebook, I'll have something a bit smaller that I can take with me, put it in my pocket, carry it with me every day so that I can jot down ideas. And you may want to organize your notebooks depending on what they are for. So you may have one for studio ideas, you may have another one for another course, and you want ideas for that. And you can divide them onto daily ideas, or so on, or journaling if you do journaling. And so you can get different type of notebooks in different sizes. And when I am doing more of a note taking for specific meetings or let's say lectures, then I typically like a bigger notebook where I can take more notes on it and do some sketches as well. So I find the bigger notebooks useful. And of course you can get some more fun, colorful notebooks for different topics, because they just make note taking so much more enjoyable. I typically have a variety of different types of notebooks for the different things that I do, and I encourage you to spend some time to think about your notebooks and how you want to organize your ideas.
So I usually do like Moleskine notebooks, stuff like that. Most of my notebooks, most of my supplies come from a store in Portland called Muji. They have quite a few of them around, but if you can't find a Muji, I think Blix is good. Quite a few art stores are good.
Thoughts, because that will help you moving forward when you are in the program. And so take some time and be mindful about your notebook, and do get something that you enjoy so that it encourages you to do sketches and good notes as well. Number 1 on the luxury list is iPad. Now, if you're able to get an iPad or a tablet alongside your laptop,
I want y'all to look at this. I just want y'all to look at this. Just look at this. Just y'all come look at this. She got the MacBook. She got a second MacBook. Now she got an iPad. Just look at this. Just look. Nah, I'm joking with y'all. Yeah, I wouldn't say just an iPad. I would say almost any kind of I have a P11 from Lenovo. Works great. She'll get in the details why you probably should want a tablet.
a bit of a luxury. I mean, I recently got a laptop. Well, it's been a year, I think a year now. It has been life-changing. There's so many wonderful things that you can do on the iPad. And productivity wise, some great apps that help you to increase your productivity, note taking, and so on. And I have a video that I'll link up here. But it is definitely a great app, and you can use it for drawing and so on. But it is a bit of a luxury item. I'm not sure if I would put this on the essentials because I don't think that you need an iPad. But if you can afford one, I definitely would recommend the iPad Pro, or even getting an iPad Air could be a good option too. I mean, this is an iPad Pro. This one's a slightly older model, but it's still perfectly fine. I've been using it. Honestly, I use this on a daily basis. Even now that I am an architect, I use it for meetings. It's just such a great productivity item. Item number 2 on the luxury item is a desktop. Now, if you can have a desktop alongside your laptop, I mean, that is great. Now, even as a luxury item, having a desktop, you can get definitely a lot of power, but now there are laptops that have so much power and performance, and if you want a bigger screen or double monitors, you can do that and link that and have that run off of your laptop. And honestly, it feels like a desktop, but you know, that might be something that you want to do, is get a desktop.
Let me adjust real quick. Okay, sorry about that. I would say if you can afford to do both, then do it. If you can only afford one or the other, just do the laptop, because always remember this: a laptop can become a workstation. A workstation cannot always become a laptop, meaning you can add extra storage, you can add extra monitors and make it into a workstation. You cannot make that desktop into a laptop. And lugging your desktop between home and lab or design studio is not an easy thing. So if you got to have one or the other, just have the laptop. But if you can get a desktop, then go for it.
But it is definitely a luxury item, which, you know, you might debate if it's really necessary as well. Item number 3, which you might say is borderline essential, but you can get away without it in my opinion, is a monitor. So now, you may have a laptop that perhaps has a 13-inch laptop, which is this one here. It's an M1 MacBook Pro, and it's a 13-inch monitor, or I should say screen. And perhaps you want to have more real estate in terms of your screen to do more work, or to have multiple things open, like you may want to have your 3D model open and your plans open alongside of each other, or diagrams and other things open, and you really want to have kind of, you know, more room to work and so on. Then you may want to get a monitor or monitors to extend from your desktop, or perhaps you have a laptop that
I very much say get the espresso. I forget the name. It's the espresso display something. Works wonders, does good work for me. You can actually daisy chain 2 of them together, or there is a program, if you have a iPad or an Android tablet, you can use it as a second display. I would honestly say just go ahead, get a second display. It does work wonders, especially the big, if you can get one like a 32-inch or bigger, saves on your eyeballs.
you want to extend and have additional monitors. I think that is a great option, but again, can you get away just working with 13 inches? Yeah, you can. But if you have the kind of money and you're able to do so, then definitely it does make life easier. I would definitely recommend getting monitors. Item number 4, a cell phone. Now, I'm putting this as a luxury item. Now, some might say that this is an essential item, but honestly, you can get away without a cell phone. Now, I believe in my undergrad, I did have a cell phone. Yes, I did have a cell phone, but then after a few years, that cell phone started to just burn out. And then when I went into my master's, I wanted to kind of minimize all of the items that I was spending money on. So what I did is I went without a cell phone. Now, of course, now there's some great options to get some affordable options, but honestly, $20, $50 a month can go toward your food as a student, or even other items that you would like to have to make your productivity better. And honestly, I got away 2-3 years without a cell phone. And it was quite, in a way, I mean, now that I have a cell phone, I realize how much easier life is, but still, I was able to adapt and get away without using a cell phone. And basically what I would do is I had a laptop, and I think at one point I was able to buy an iPad, and so I think that was later on in my master's, I was able to buy an iPad, and so when I needed to check emails or get in contact with people, I would basically use, Skype, emails, and so on to get in touch. And so I would just check my emails quite often and connect with people in that way. And I would always be on time for meetings and so on. And if I needed to get in touch with the phone, there were ways at the time that I was able to actually send text messages through just using, web browser. And I'm sure you can still do that today because now you have WhatsApp and so on. So one way to minimize your costs as a student is by eliminating the cell phone completely. And if you need to do video calls with family and friends, you got Skype. You have it on your laptop, you can have it on your iPad if you have one. If you don't, you have your laptop and you can make those calls on your laptop. Of course, you need to be connected with Wi-Fi, but honestly, when you're on campus, there's Wi-Fi everywhere. You go to a coffee shop, most coffee shops now have Wi-Fi as well. So you can basically get over.
I'm in the middle of Alaska, ma'am. I'm sorry. I need a cell phone because, geez, you go into a ditch, you hit a moose, a bear is chasing you somewhere. Yodeling ain't going to help. But I don't think I would call this one a luxury. At this point, I would call this one, this is a necessity. This is essential.
Without a cell phone if you really want. Item number 5 on the luxury items list is a printer. Now, I'm putting it on the luxury item list because you can get away without it. Is it more cost effective to have a printer? I think it is. So this item is a bit on the borderline essential and not, because printers nowadays are actually quite affordable. Now, when I mean printer, you can get a letter size printer, and even better, if you can get an 11x17 printer, it is super helpful because you can use that for reports, to even print out posters, even if you think about it, because you can lay it out in such a way that you could use it. It's great for portfolios. Once you do graduate, you can use it to print your portfolio. So I find 11x17 is definitely a great printer to have. Is it essential? I don't think it's essential. I feel like it is a bit of a luxury item, but it is a bit essential at the same time. I'm kind of indecisive about this one, but I honestly think it is luxury, and I'm putting it on the luxury list because I got away without it. Most of the architecture programs in schools have in-house printers, but you do have to pay for it. You gotta pay a certain amount per page, and you're able to also print posters in-house if they do have printers. Because I remember my undergrad at Ryerson, we didn't have plotters and printers. We had to go to an independent business outside or on campus to make our printing. But a lot of architecture programs, like where I did my master's program at UBC, they have printers and plotters where you can print, your bigger posters and so on. But it does perhaps become a little costly, because if you were to get your own printer, I have a feeling that it would be more cost effective. But of course, there's that upfront cost of getting a printer. And I'm sure when you have a printer, you're also going to print more because there's so much of an ease about it. And if you don't have a printer, then it's kind of, you find ways to work around it. Now, it is great for pinups when you got to put your work up on the wall and you can't use your laptop. And definitely a printer becomes handy. Again, I'm putting it on the luxury items list, but you might find it to be essential. If you want more information from me in your inbox, I would sign up for the monthly newsletter, where I share monthly newsletters on a monthly basis to you, sharing more information and content. And to sign up, you just need to go on my website, www.ashleyeusebiu.com, and you can sign up for the newsletter there. If you want to get more information about what are the top architecture schools that I would recommend, I would check out this video here. And of course, don't forget, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you on the next.
By the way, if y'all want me to ever do any of her school review videos, let me know. I'm dying to do one of them because I love the way she talks about UBC, and she'd be like, "I'm not being partial." Yeah, you are. We see the smirk when I do it too. When people ask me what's the best school, UBC. And I'm not just saying that. Yes, I am. I am just saying that in hopes that they take away my international tuition fees. Anyway, this is Architecture TV. Go like and subscribe to her, watch her videos. Also, give mine a like too as well. Hope y'all have a good day.